So when you run down the starters up front, or who we know are coming back as starters versus who are vying for the other positions and who's been lost, this is the one unit on the offense that has not a whole lot of doubt, but at least some guys to replace.
Yeah, they lose Trey Hill at center and Ben Cleveland at right guard. Those are the two big losses on the offensive line. And really, when you look at the offense in general, those are the two big losses, overall. They lose a tight end and Trey McKitty, but outside of that, they don't lose any receiving threats, rushing threats, and they don't lose anything at the quarterback position outside of Dwan Mathis transferring and a couple of transfers down on the line on the depth chart at wide receiver. But, in terms of guys that played, this is the position group that loses the most, and with Hill and Cleveland out, headed to the NFL. 3 years of Trey Hill starting. He got some great experience at right guard his freshman season. Started down the stretch there. Started the SEC championship game against Alabama that season. The bowl game against Texas. Came in and actually was a replacement for Ben Cleveland, who was originally the starting right guard that season, and he ended up, breaking his leg and losing out on time to Cade Mays, who then got hurt, and that opened the door for Hill. Hill bumped over to center and had some issues at center. In terms of pass protection and run blocking, he was great. But one thing that stood out there was, he struggled with shotgun snaps at times. I think the big one that most Georgia fans would remember would be against Tennessee, the snap that went over Stetson Bennett's head and resulted in, a Tennessee touchdown to start that game. And the Bulldogs were down 7-0 early on. Replacing those guys, it's going to be a challenge considering the experience that they have. I mentioned it all there with Hill. Cleveland's experience dates all the way back to that 2017 run through the SEC championship to the national championship game where they fell to Alabama. In terms of what they've got returning, Jamari Salyer is the key guy for me, and he's a guy that could started every game at left tackle this past season. Well, take that back. He started every game up until the bowl game at left tackle, and before he was bumped inside to left guard. That's probably the position that he translates more to the NFL at. And it'll be interesting to see whether Georgia wants to use him as a left tackle again, or they want to bring him inside to his more natural position of guard. I would guess that they are going to do that. But, with the challenge of the Clemson defensive line that's waiting, in week one, you may not want to be breaking in a brand new left tackle out there. Outside of Salyer, you've got Justin Schaefer, who returns, using his COVID year of eligibility, returns after his senior season. He's got 2 years of starting experience. Started most games at left guard. Like I said, when Salyer bumped into left guard, he bumped over to right guard to replace Ben Cleveland in that bowl game. Will be interesting to see. I think his position kind of depends on where they put Salyer. If they're going to put Salyer at left guard, then Schaefer probably has the spot at right guard. But there's definitely some guys, in that room that could give him a push there. At center, replacing Trey Hill, Warren Erickson would be a great option. He could also factor in at guard. He has some experience there. And then Cedric Van Pran would be the other one at center. He was a true freshman this past season, one of the top-rated offensive linemen in that 2020 signing class, and could really factor in. And then looking at the tackles, Warren McClendon did not start the first game of the season. Kind of like Stetson Bennett. He came in midway through that Arkansas game with Georgia struggling and really provided a solid presence on that right side that helped the Bulldogs, come back and win that game. He earned SEC. He was a redshirt freshman this past season and earned, plenty of accolades as a freshman All-American, all SEC freshman team at right tackle. I would guess Georgia probably sticks with him there rather than moving him over to left tackle, just to have some sort of continuity on the line. When you're moving all these guys around from, left tackle inside to left guard over to right guard, replacing your center entirely, you want to have some continuity at the tackle positions. And Warren McClendon offers that at right tackle. Looking at left tackle, that's the position that's more open, especially if Salyer bumps inside. True freshman Amarius Mims could factor in there, as well as Broderick Jones, who was a freshman this past season. he got a little bit of experience, but not a ton. And then Xavier Truss, he started the bowl game at left tackle. Didn't have a great day, but with a full off season of work, and preparation, he could be an option there. I think Mims is the interesting option to Georgia fans, considering he was one of the top offensive linemen in this past signing class. Was actually Georgia's highest rated signee, number 7 overall in the country, number 3 at his position, and number 1 in the Peach State. 6'7", 315. He's a mammoth of a human being, and certainly could earn himself some early playing time.
Yeah, Amarius Mims at the top of the board, man, he looks the part, no question about that, and he's graded out as near the very best at offensive tackle. And you mentioned Micah Morris as well is on campus. So when they start spring practice at 6'4", 316, number 9 at his offensive tackle position as well. And they've got one of the top guards in the country, although he's not coming in until the summer, in Dylan Fairchild.